Greetings and welcome to the very first ever episode of Hall of Fame here at What Is About Games.
Inaugural episode.
The inaugural episode. I don't know what this is yet. These two. I'm your host, Amy Alexander, and I'm joined by Keith Robinson and Patrick Welsh.
It's
It's
your boy.
your boy.
Smash that like button.
Please do. So this
Smash
is...
it. Smash it. Smash it till it breaks.
Don't do that, because that's your monitor, right? Don't want you to break your monitor, because then you wouldn't be able to hit subscribe. So this is the first of a monthly video series that we all came up with. Me and Keith came up with. We discussed it before, and then I discussed it with Patrick. Patrick knows why he's here. Where we're going to start a Hall of Fame for It's About Games, where every month each one of us is going to induct a game into our Hall of Fame. There'll be a link to some sort of document in the description below the video on YouTube, so you can see the ever-growing list of games that we induct into the Hall of Fame. And there really aren't any restrictions or guidelines or anything. It's a game, and you get to put it in. There's no voting. There's no nothing. I was like, I need to do more positive videos, and this came to mind. I don't know if you guys have watched the podcast lately, but
the world is darkness, desecration, and destruction. We must point out some small point of light and go, this is good. This is precious. This is monetized beyond belief. Enjoy this.
I wish my podcast was monetized beyond belief. So, just before we started recording this video, I got everybody to roll for initiative. Keith is going to go first because he got the mighty roll of 9. We'll suck.
Wait, I was on the D6. How the hell did he get 9?
Were you doing D20?
Everyone else was rolling D20s.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were intentionally rolling a D6 because I didn't pick it up.
So, Patrick is going last because apparently he was rolling a D6. It's all good. We're an organized professional podcasting outlet who's already been going for like 2.5 minutes. So, Keith, induct the very first game into our Hall of Fame.
So, I imagine our Hall of Fame as being some bright sort of museum-like structure. You know, that's, a fake Georgian sort of exterior. And we walk in, and at the moment we've got the marble floor, the wonderful velvet robes over these 3 portraits of games, which we hit so far to see. So as you're in this mind palace, I want to take you even further back. 1 month and 17 years.
You can tell he's a DM, can't you?
Yes. We're going back to 2002. June the 18th or July the 3rd. It kind of depends where you were, because apparently we can't have worldwide release dates back then.
No, we didn't.
Yes. So, because I'm kind of guessing that you'll know which game I'm going to be mentioning, I'll do a little bit of a thing. So let's see. It was published by Infogames in 2002, June, July time. It's come up on like the best games that ever I've that I've mentioned before. So Amy will probably have an idea about what game I'm going on about. But just another clue: the developer was BioWare.
Anthem. No, wait.
Lately they've been a bit shaky. They've been relying on some magic, which isn't really helping them. But this was their heyday. This was, I think, the first BioWare game I've ever played.
Sonic Chronicles.
It just sunk.
I didn't realize we were going to have a guessing game on.
Yeah. About 100 hours or so into this game. And that game, very appropriately, was Neverwinter Nights. A D&D RPG game where the game rolled you for initiative for you, so you couldn't accidentally roll a D6.
Why Neverwinter Nights, Keith? I gotta admit, I'm very happy with the intro. I need to step up my intros, clearly, because that mine wasn't that elaborate. But hit me.
So, I mean, this was the first game I can probably say I dumped like 100 hours into, because even when I had the Sega Saturn beforehand, I'd never spent that much time on one game, even Command and Conquer, which I played over and over and over again. and I hadn't like a Japanese RPG game, which I didn't put that much time into, but I did sink so much time into Neverwinter Nights. The graphics are pretty much like the first Tomb Raider, so not the greatest thing, but you had. I was more thinking of these sort of faces which didn't move or show any emotion and looked kind of like aliens. It was just you had these little characters that you could make. You had all of these different options and like things that you could do. You got a handbook in it, which was basically the player's handbook for D&D, but in miniature form. You got these wonderful like actual portraits that you could put up for your character, and you could add more into it because this was the first game where there was custom modifications and something. This was the first real PC game I'd ever played. And it had mods, it had expansions, it had custom made content by the fans. I remember spending ages going around, like, when they like released out as like just armor and stuff, so you could change the look of your character as they were running around. The storyline was like 40 odd hours at least. There's this engaging storyline, and there was like moral gray areas and stuff. And it was the first proper, probably the only proper RPG experience I've ever really like had at that point anyway. Where I got to like really decide what my character was doing, how they were going to play the druid, obviously. And it was just a wonderful experience I kept going back to. I bought the expansions. There was 3 major expansions. I played at least 2 of them. Both were, again, like really sizable chunks of game, which added more stuff to the base game. And then there was people making custom content for these things. You can play the entire Baldur's Gate in Neverwinter Nights, and Neverwinter Nights 2.
Of course you can.
That's how much fans loved the creator for that game. You could be DM'd. A DM could go in and make a dungeon for other players to run through. And this was back in the early 2000s. This was a really incredible game. It was my first game I ever really loved and just didn't do so deeply. I played the campaign through at least 3 times and started at like 50. And then there was the expansions. Because they had an epic level 1 where you went all the way through some of the outer planes and into hell.
So
And
you
it
want
was
from a game.
it was wonderful. I think I'd like started off so many characters just to test out how to do builds. Because you started off at like 18th level, and it was an amazing experience. And it was pure D&D. It was pure sort of, oh yeah, so you've got this weird mythical artifact. Oh yeah, it's a pound of flesh from Mephistopheles. You only find that when it kicks you in the teeth.
That's cool, man. Neverwinter Nights, huh? I remember when I was in uni, and one of my flatmates was doing a course for like designing games, and literally one of his modules was to make something in Neverwinter Nights, the creation tool.
Yeah.
And since I'd played a lot of Neverwinter, I was like, oh, hi, I'm a nerd. Like, I've played D&D and I know about Neverwinter. Nerd.
I mean, they made it so open because one of the things was no one could charge for anything that they made in the Neverwinter Night mod.
Come back 2002.
Mostly
How quaint.
because it was a way to prevent copyright laws at the time. Because it was like, well, to prevent any sort of copyright infringement, no one can make money off like this tool set, which is probably why the university was using it as a module.
Probably.
But cool. It was such a wonderful, like when you say stuff like that, it's like, oh, it was not right. Come back to those days, it was so innocent and pure, and I would drop a load of money, not for the Beamdog sort of remaster, which didn't really do much of the graphics, but if they remade Neverwinter Nights, even if it was just like World of Warcraft graphics, which aren't amazing, or if they put in something like Dragon Age Inquisitor level graphics, with that storyline, with that open, because it wasn't exactly open world, but it was just such a rich and inviting world. A lot of people drop a lot of money on that, but I'm quite happy with it being as part of my past and being something that I really loved because it was amazing.
Awesome. Do you have anything you want to ask him, Patrick?
I don't really have much to say about Neverwinter. I played it once in my first year at university when I borrowed it from a friend, and I didn't really sink into it. I don't know why. I suppose because it wasn't as defined as Baldur's Gate had been. So sorry, I don't really have much to
That's
add.
fair. That's fair. Well, rather than try and force it, stretch it out, we'll just move on from there, I guess. We'll figure this format out eventually, and then I'll. Yeah, this is how we do shows. We don't have time for preparation. What are you talking about?
We do it live.
It's my turn next, right? Yeah, it's my turn next. Cool. So I don't know how to follow that intro. Like,
The curtain is parted. That wonderful eye in black, like with ghostlit in blue, is on the wall with Neverwinter Nights written above it.
Yeah,
and now we pan over
of the
to
eye.
the next
Yeah, cool.
opening curtain.
Okay, and now I'm just standing really awkwardly in front of it, like. So, it has been pointed out to me when we have discussions about favorite games, like of all time, that I have a habit of idealizing the past, and when we talk about all time, I don't really go past like the year 2000. So when I was sitting down and we were like, let's do a Hall of Fame podcast series, as I decided to make a very conscious decision to go back and forth. So I'll do a modern-ish game, and then an older game, and then a modern-ish game, then an older game. And because we've done discussions like this a few times, I decided to start with a modern game. And while Keith was talking about Neverwinter, I'll admit I was trying to figure out how could I make a grandiose intro to my game that I have picked. I don't know. I can't remember exactly when it came out, so I can't do the travel back in time with me. But I feel like I can say one word that will let you know, like my first pick for being inducted into the Words About Games Hall of Fame. And that word, and I can't do a great impression of this guy's voice, that word is boy.
Boy.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you.
Boy.
Boy. God of War.
Any of us read Christopher Judge?
Wait, you haven't spent 2 decades practicing your Chris Judge impressions?
Indeed.
I love the fact that we set that up and it ran with it.
Means great many things.
Oh man, God of War. It's probably just because I watched Raising Kratos last 2-3 days ago. So I just watched a 2-hour documentary about the making of God of War. But it was my game of the year for a reason. Like, I feel like when all is said and done and the dust has settled and the PS5 and the Xbox Scarlet are out and we're all like I'll be making a list. I'm gonna say I'm shameless enough. I'll be making a list of the best games of the generation. I won't be surprised if God of War was at the top of that list. I fucking loved from the first moment to the last moment of God of War, and I don't finish many games anymore. And oh man, everything about that game, the story was incredible. And considering God of War, like the first 3 games, was like about an angry dude who ripped gods up.
It's like mid orcs, edgelords bullshit.
Like a Quantic Dream QTE game made by an angry, edgy teenager. Like, like the story was incredible. The 2 characters were amazing. They did an escort mission across an entire game where I wasn't really annoyed with the kid. Like the person who I was escorting. Take notes, Resident Evil 4. But the combat...
Yeah, take notes, the game from 2005.
Take notes, the game that from 2005 that I'm never going to put on this list.
I might.
That's fine. Where was it? Story, characters, world, incredible. Like, used to get in a boat. Like, I don't know if either of you played God of War.
Yes, I have. I didn't finish it, but I did enjoy Daddy Kratos' boat stories.
Daddy Kratos' boat stories. Like, normally when I'm getting from one place to the next, I'm on as fast as possible, right? I'm like, once point A, point B, and then I'm like, get out because I want to do the next big thing. Like, if I get to point B and I'm in the boat and Kratos isn't finished, I'll I'll just sail around a bit more. Wait for him to finish his stories. And then he tells the stories in such a terrible way. But they're still great. But then when you get Mimir, who tells the stories correctly, then you get to hear them properly. But, the combat, though. The combat. Like, just, not even the combat. Just throwing the axe. And then punching some dude. And then just putting your hand out. Axe comes back. And then you just...
Throwing the axe, yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's got a lot of weight to it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it feels like flinging a big fuck-off magic axe.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And
like,
hearing it, like, hit a tree or something.
Thunk.
And go chonk.
Or just seeing, like a dude just go chonk and fly backwards when he hit him. Because, you know, I didn't really aim the axe very much, as if I was just a desperate, like, attempt to, like, hit something. But when you hit something, you felt it hit. And then when you pulled it back, it was so satisfying. And I don't know how long I played the game for to complete it. Maybe like 20 to 30 hours.
There's something like that about that. I like I said, I haven't finished it. I feel like I'm kind of near the end, but I think I got to a bit where I got stuck and I didn't give up. Well, I didn't give up, but I just like, you're going to sit and think about what you did, God of War.
Maybe a Valkyrie. That sounds like I might have been a Valkyrie.
It might have been. Oh, no, I think I tried a Valkyrie once and was just nope.
Yeah, I didn't do those. Like, I got through the story and then I was like, I'll have a go at this Valkyrie. No.
It's like, Valkyries are cool. I like Valkyries.
But, no, like, the axe was always satisfying. Like, 30 hours in, like, I'd still, like, that one combat mechanic was still, like, one of my favorite things ever. It's my game of the year in 2018. In a year when Spider-Man came out.
Like, yeah, well, Spider-Man is my game of the year. So.
Spider-Man should have been my game of the year. I'm a massive, like, Spider-Man fangirl. But God of War was just, for me, I preferred it. And that's saying something. And that's my bit on God of War. So we've got this eye for Neverwinter. You know, little thing, 2002, and then, you know, the second curtain's been pulled down, and there's a picture of Kratos holding an axe. God of War 2018, and then I guess there's a third curtain that we need to unveil for our inaugural Hall of Fame episode. So, Parik, what have you brought for us?
So, I really didn't know what I was going to do because on the one hand, part of me, this is probably, you know, the history grad speaking, but I thought like I should do stuff that I felt was important and influential, or on the other hand, I should go with like weird weeb stuff that I like, you know, to bring it to a bigger audience. So I don't really know how this is going to go. I'm going to go back and forth. So I'm going to start with something important that we're probably all on some level familiar with, and that I want to talk about Street Fighter. And specifically Street Fighter 2. And I don't really know that I can necessarily talk about the mechanics about it, like about like frame data and input lag and all that, because I'm not that guy. And I know people talk about it being like a human chess match, but to me, you know, I mean, this is a game that I saw first in magazines for what seemed like an eternity, but it's probably just years now. And I didn't play it until I borrowed it from a friend. And I played the Mega Drive version, which is not the version to play because it's only got 3 buttons.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, but I just think it's important for a lot of reasons, in that it's sort of it's kind of part of that sort of like early 90s phase in history where the 80s went away and the 90s came in. You know, it's sort of the last gasp of arcades and this sort of arcade character design of, you know, big muscly dudes walking along destroying cars, and then the next phase is, you know, grim, dark, bloody Mortal Kombat, you know, bollocks. You know, it's telling that one of the characters is billed as being from the Soviet Union at around about the time that the Soviet Union fell, which confused me for years because I didn't know the Soviet Union fell until I was like 9. Because I just heard it in Street Fighter and thought, you know, USSR, and thought that's where Zangief's from.
And then you discovered one out in 1990s.
So I think that part of the reason why Street Fighter works is actually character design, in that it's sort of the only racist game that kind of gets away with it, because all the characters are kind of broad national stereotypes, but none of them are really mean-spirited. Like, Guile was designed to be like this ridiculous American with this ridiculous flat top haircut with the American flag tattooed on his biceps, and his stage is in front of a jet, like something you'd see in like a base in Japan. Zangief is possibly the only heroic Russian character I can think of in non-Russian media. Dhalsim's perhaps a little unfortunate, Vega's like a weird Spanish ninja, and I just think like everyone sort of recognizes the characters. You think about the characters from the first Mortal Kombat, and they're just kind of rubbish, big Trouble in Little China ripoffs. Whereas Street Fighter works because everyone can sort of relate to someone and think, well, this is that guy, unless you're British, of course, in which case you had to wait for Cammy, who's not really much of a national stereotype, or at least not an effective one.
She's not Tracer.
Well,
Nope.
No.
Oh man, I remember Street Fighter 2. They had there's a leisure centre nearby where we used to go every Sunday, and you walk in through I don't know how it's laid out now, but you used to walk in through the lobby, go past, and they have always two arcade machines, and one of them was always changing. I don't remember any of the games that it was, but there was the one on the left was always Street Fighter 2, for years, and I used to insist that we go in, have a swim, we go upstairs, eat chips, because that's what you have after you have a swim. Downstairs, I have to play Street Fighter 2 before I leave.
My main thing for like Street Fighter 2 was the fact that they used the arcade console that you're just talking about as the controls for the giant hover platform that Bison has in the in the Street Fighter film, which he uses to detonate a minefield.
The best worst live action adaptation of a video game.
And not only that, but it was also the first video game adaptation which had a game made of it. So it was a video game based on a movie, which was
Street Fighter, the movie, the game.
Yes.
Was that a
It
thing?
had sort of had sort of video cell images of the characters from the film.
It was released on the Saturn, and everyone had the sort of digitized sprites like you would get in Mortal Kombat, to resemble the characters in the film. I assume they didn't get Van Damme and the like, but
I'm trying to remember if they did, but can you just kind of know beating the shit out of Bison and Van Damme?
It's not good. It's awful, but yeah, someone did a game of a movie based on a game.
Damn! But we're talking about Street Fighter 2, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the anime adaptation is much better.
I've never seen the anime adaptation.
What? Oh, you have to watch. It is actually legitimately great.
I did play the game though. In an
It is Van Damme. Just to interject there for that side, his image in the sprite.
Yeah. I don't know if he actually did it or if they just sort of superimposed his image on.
I don't know if they just didn't take stock photo things from the film and used it.
Maybe. I mean, the film licensing probably had the rights to use his likeness for stuff, and I guess a game counted. But no, man. Yeah, I remember the thing about you have to buy it on Nintendo because the Nintendo controller had more buttons than the Mega Drive.
Yeah. You had to. The way it worked is that the 3 buttons by default on the Mega Drive were mapped to the punches, and you had to press start to change them to kicks.
Yeah.
So it wasn't great.
Just meant if you were good at the game on Mega Drive, you were better at it, because you had that whole extra step of having to switch between punches and kicks, instead of just having 6 buttons. I don't know. I'm just talking crap. That seems like a good place to call it. Our first ever Hall of Fame. We've inducted 3 games from 3 different decades, so I think we've done quite well there. So everything's spread out. So this is going to be a monthly thing, every 4 weeks on a Thursday. I'm pretty sure this is a Thursday this has gone out on. We'll be back to induct more games, and the list will grow and grow and grow and grow and until it explodes.
Until it bursts forth and kills us all.
Oh yeah.
Or implodes and draws us down, spaghetti-like, into its dense abyss.
This was supposed to be the positivity podcast, guys. We need to stop. Like, just cut.
The black hole of awesome.
Say bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.